Yeah, thanks for reaching out, man. I love it when people reach out and want to connect. And yeah, I don't. So tell me, I guess, what made you reach out, or how did you find me, or what?
Yeah, yeah, sure thing. Let me kick that out. So I was actually in Cody and Christian's Monty group. I don't know if you know them. They are mainly
Mhm.
doing seller financing and other stuff.
Yeah.
And in one of the meetings, I was talking to also another student in the Monty group, and she told me that she joined a group because she has property in Gary area and she already know a couple of owners there. So she mentioned, oh, there's a pretty good group that discuss real estate related stuff, and you can reach out to Millennial Mike if you are interested in that kind of things. And I was beginning to watching YouTube videos, and then I found his mentor, and then I saw your interview, and I happened to see you are also investing in Pennsylvania. I was like, whoa, finally another folks investing in Pennsylvania because most of the
Don't
people
tell people about Pittsburgh. No, no, no. Just playing. Sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, no problem. Because most of the folks focus on the uprising area, right? Florida, Texas, South North Carolina, and some other folks focus on Midwest, where you have major part of the cash flow. I don't see a lot of people also in my group that actually investing in Indiana, or Indiana maybe a little bit more, but Pennsylvania not so much. So I was like, whoa, he's interesting. Let me watch his YouTube and see what's going on. And then I see your life story, your interview. I can see like you are trying to reach very similar goal as financial freedom and retire early and have more time with family and be doing what you want to do, not necessarily tied to a specific job as an out of state investor. I was like, well, we are trying to do the same thing. And he seems like you know what you're doing, and I just get started. I'm trying to reach out to say, hey, if maybe we can talk more a little bit on investing in Pennsylvania. Is there any correlating goals or correlating objects that we can help out each other a little bit more, like sharing lender info, share investment ideas, even sharing deals. I joined a bunch of groups, and yeah, yeah, most of those groups have like deals that outside my specific area. And if I know, hey, you guys are investing here, maybe I can just forward them to you. And if you happen to find a deal that in my market, I'm happy to take a look as well. So just trying to network a little bit more to know more folks investing in that area, or in general, just as an out of state investor to see if they can help us with each other. If not, I'm also happy to connect, just talk to another investor. That will be awesome. It certainly makes me feel now so lonely in the journey.
No, yeah. So tell me, like, so how, like you say, it sounds like maybe you just started, or you're how far are you in this journey? So, like, what's your
Yeah,
portfolio look like?
yeah. Let me pick out a little bit more about myself. So I actually started in real estate investing in 2017, so quite a while back. But at the time, I have no idea what I'm doing. So at the time, I'm just trying to find a way to diversify my investment portfolio. I'm a software developer, so I got a bunch of stocks just sitting there doing nothing, and it's too much stuff just for a single company. And I was like, I need to do something else, and then begin to look online. I found a couple ideas actually. One is real estate investing. Unfortunately, at the time, I didn't find bigger pocket and other things. It's just a couple YouTubers talking about that. And then I also find there's a thing called Amazon fulfillment business, Amazon FBA. So fulfillment by Amazon basically. So basically you can open an online store and selling products on Amazon. So I actually spend more time and energy trying that because it's considered more or less passive. You don't need to handle all the logistics, but there's still a lot of work. And also at the time, I have also have the money on hand. So I bought a condo in Seattle, like really close to where I live. And over these years, my stock goes up and down, mutual fund goes up and down. My FBA business sometimes like you get really good profit in Q4, and then it's like really slowing down and dragging you in other time of the year. But my condo has bring me a check very consistently for last 5 or 6 years. I have the same tenants that I know them personally, after I became like their landlord, and then it's doing pretty good. I feel I'm helping people at the same time. I got a great investment that paying me monthly and got all the expense covers. And so after all those years, I begin to rethink, hey, what should I do if I can't do FBA very well? It's not like a very passive way, and then begin to look more about real estate investing. So I think I begin to go into bigger target forum last October, and then I begin to market research across a couple of marketplaces like Midwest, Texas, Florida, um, Ohio, Oregon, all over the place. And then I finally land on Lehigh Valley, where I feel like I find someone that I feel I can trust. I'm a broker. I found him through Bigger Pockets. And I feel I can trust him, and he helped me find PMs, contractors, and other folks. So I begin to invest there. I actually just closed my fourplex last month there. That's my fourth out of state property. So I'm looking forward to do more.
Awesome. So do you, maybe you touched on it, I didn't quite hear, but do you still have a W-2?
Yeah, I still have W2, and I'm a software developer, and I'm not so keen to like retire right now. But I'm definitely looking forward to have more passive income so I can have more time with my family if I have to, because my current job is really demanding. I got meetings, all kinds of stuff popping out. It's really, really busy day life. So if I got passive income cover my expense, maybe I don't have to go to work. And also, as a software developer, I got some flexibility. I can like work remotely, unlike a lot of other jobs like firefighter or police officer. You get, I really respect you guys to show up as a first responder, but it's going to be hard to work remotely. So I have a little bit flexibility on my job. So if I can go somewhere, maybe I can live in Hawaii and work for maybe for a smaller company that doesn't require me to be in office. So I hope the flexibility can help me with my life and also have more time with family. And also, I don't know if you know, like recently there are a huge waves of tech layoff, right? So you never know when you will be laid out, and the decision is not to high up in the pay grade above the management chain. And maybe you are performing really good, but because the project is not as profitable as now, so they just lay you off. So definitely I want to be able to control my own destiny. So that's why I get really focused on investment. And I also I think you mentioned Rich that product in your YouTube video. That's
Yeah.
actually also one thing that gets me thinking more, because all my family background is like working class. So their expectation is that you go to school, you do good, you graduate, find a good job, have kids, rinse and repeat. But that doesn't sound like very interesting after I read that for that. Something sounds like something other choices we have and we can try. So that's where I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have so much questions though. I mean, so I guess that you mentioned you have a condo, right, in
Mhm.
Seattle.
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
was that initially bought as a primary or as an investment property?
Oh, as an investment.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got my permit in 2016 when the housing price already take out, but not as crazy as now. So and then the next year, 2017, when I was thinking what do I do with my portfolio, I found a condo. So it's really close to my area and a great commuter place to live in. Actually rent out to another folk working for the same company. I use the internal email list. So background screening and other stuff went very smoothly. And turns out he's a great guy, and we never had any issue with vacancy or repair or other stuff. So probably because I have really good experience with the condo, and the first thing come to my mind last year when I was thinking about what should I do to generate passive income, real estate becomes the number one option. And after digging into more, I begin to really fall in love with real estate.
No, me too. So sounds like you're making that condo work, like it cash flows and
Mhm.
it's in your backyard.
Yeah.
What made you start thinking about investing remotely or out of state?
Yeah. So the Seattle was like expanding really, really fast in the last couple of years, right? Especially West Coast. Probably you feel the same thing in Hawaii, right? People just go crazy about real estate. So in Seattle, if you can't do anything like really smart, like maybe funding a house, adding value to it, and then rent it by room, then you can make it work. I've always been watching closely on what Seattle player is doing. So one way they make Seattle work is like funding a house with a large lot and put an ADU on it. And then you can probably making cash flow and also adding value. But it requires some capital to do that. And also, I don't want to get into the building phase, just get started out. So if I just want to buy something and hold and just like get started on a little bit bigger one, like triplex, fourplex, and things like that, that is no longer a very good market because it's barely cash flow and the capital required to enter the market is really high. So that's why I was thinking, hey, if I have to do something, why not find somewhere that I have more cash flow, right? Eventually, maybe I'm going to be interested in owning something in the Seattle area as a rental, right? Just for appreciation. But I feel for most of the investor to snowball their income and getting into higher class property, you probably want to start somewhere class C and in an area it cash flows. Then maybe later in your life you begin to optimize your property and even begin your building phase, transition into a class B or class A property in the West Coast or East Coast where you get more appreciation and then some level of cash flow when you build more wealth. So I'll just start as a baby step, invest something and buy and hold in some marketplace that make more sense on return. Seattle, I see a couple um, small multifamily, they trade around 4 or 5 cap. So you can't really make it work when the loan cost factor is so high today. Yeah, I guess you probably have the same idea in Hawaii, right? You can't really invest in your backyard.
No, I think we have so much similarities and very similar mindsets. Like you're saying, I want to start slow. I don't want a lot of rehab type stuff in the beginning.
Mhm.
I kind of want to get my feet wet, kind of learn the systems, generate some good cash flow. And then once I have this portfolio kind of running and stabilized, then I may dabble in more of maybe a burr type or
Mm.
a short-term rental or like you're saying, maybe once I start generating enough, then maybe I'll buy something back in my backyard again where like you're saying, looking for more of the appreciation play. But yeah, like I
Mm.
think our mindset is kind of very, very similar and looking at things in the same lens. So for me, when I invested in Pittsburgh, though, I had a friend who was already investing there. Did you have anybody investing in that, or you just took the leap and kind of went on your own?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like you are really lucky have a friend doing real estate. So you guys can talk about that and invest together. Unfortunately, I don't have any friend or family doing real estate. My whole family, we never own a rental at all. People just got their primary residence and keep it like forever. And there's no landlord, and I don't know any landlord as my friends like before I investing. So for me, it's more like trying to find a marketplace and trying to find someone that I can talk to and I feel I can trust, and then take the like you mentioned, take a leap of faith and then go into the market. Yeah,
And oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, sorry. I was also thinking like, if I can find it later down the road, that would be awesome. That's why I'm trying to reach out to other folks like you that seems more experienced and know the market and seem to be interested in out of state investing. I'm interested in talking to other people about investing.
No, awesome. I applaud you because I mean, even though I had a friend who was investing in Pittsburgh and I piggybacked off of him, it is scary, making that first purchase and taking this leap of faith and going, investing so many thousands of miles away possibly.
Mm,
And I applaud you for taking that leap and just going for it. And I know what it takes to take that first step, and I applaud you for what you did. And I'm glad you reached out. I
thank
mean,
you.
I love this. I mean, I like you said, I could talk about this all day, and the guys at the firehouse, they're getting sick of me trying to talk to them about this all day. So it's good when people reach out to me, and I just had another call with uh, a friend of a friend who reached out to me because he kind of heard what I was doing, and
Mhm.
same thing. I'm glad he reached out, and we had a good conversation, and hopefully I can help him also get started. But like you're saying, I mean,
Nice.
it's all about networking, and I love it. I mean, so you're closing on what today you said, or just real recently, or
Oh yeah, I actually closed my fourplex last month, February 15th actually. That's my first fourplex, and it's also an out of state investment. I never been to the site, so
and so all of yours are in Allentown.
yeah, yeah. So I only have a fourplex there, have a condo in Seattle, and then my primary residence here.
So how did you get the funds to get started? So I'm not sure if you know my full story. For me, I used the HELOC, and then once I was like, you know what, this makes way more sense. I'm going to go all in.
Mhm.
I took everything out of my retirement accounts. I took the penalties, and I used that to purchase more properties. How did you find the funds to get started?
Yeah, I actually been saving like all the years. So it's more like a boring story. I personally I don't have any hobby that require me to spend money on. My hobby is like play video games and watch TV series, like really boring for developer life. So my personal expense is like really, really low. And majority of my spending is I have two kids. I have two daughters actually, 1 and 3. So my wife is in charge of like spending the family and buying clothes, food, toys for the kids. And more time we are just discussing, hey, should we buy what kind of toys for the baby when they get bored with the existing ones? So also she's not a big spender. So we didn't deliberately saying, okay, we need to save, but over the year we have been saving quite a some fortune. And also all the years they give you they call it RSU, restricted stock units, over the year, like it's one twice a year for me, and I never touch it myself. So it's been growing a little bit over the years. So I have enough fund to like just buy a fourplex and maybe buy a next environment, especially in the market that's not super expensive. So I do have some funds that I can invest. But eventually, I'll be at a point that I need to find more creative ways to do that. Like you mentioned, HELOC. Actually just applied for one on my primary residence. But unlike you guys, the rate now is really high, and they do adjustable rate. I think you mentioned in one of your interview, like in Hawaii, like people do that, and the rate is relatively low and fixed, right? So now my rate is high. I can't really use it as down pay, and so I need to find other ways to do that.
Yeah, so Hawaii, the rates have gone up, just like as all the other rates have gone up. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people were, so what a lot of people do is they do like that velocity banking.
Mm-hmm.
They use the HELOC, but Hawaii is one of those, it has very favorable HELOC products. And so most of the local banks have these teaser programs, and you can go like 1 3 5 year fixed rate, and then it adjusts. But what a lot of people were doing was they were just going from bank to bank when
Mm-hmm.
when their teaser rate was going to expire. And Hawaii real estate is pretty stable, typically appreciating. So that's what
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people are doing to focus on either investing or paying down their mortgage quicker. So right now, yeah, the rates are a
Mm-hmm.
lot higher than they were in the past, maybe 10 years, but you still can get like maybe I want to say maybe like a 5 year at like a 4%
Oh,
HELOC rate. And so yeah, it's still beneficial, especially if you're borrowing at 4% and yet you can get like a 10% return, right?
Exactly,
So
exactly.
so yeah, it's super helpful. But yeah, I love the story. I mean, another question I had was, as far as your wife, is
Mhm.
she on board with this, or was it something that you kind of had to convince her that this was maybe a better option or better route to
Mhm.
go down, or how did that work out?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, especially for someone who married. Um, I had to get her on board. So normally when in my family we make all the decisions together, and for a lot of time I'll do the research upfront and figure out what's going on. And she's not like super concerned of what I'm trying. She's when I was doing I'm doing FBA business, she's also supportive. And this one I actually have a longer conversation with her because when I got two kids, we got to have a planning for them, right? What about college tuition? What if they want to join some program? They want to visit some place, and hobby costs a lot, especially for kids. So I have a lot of friends in the same life stage, right? Spending on kids is like endless. And people have high standard, especially when kids is really interested in a particular thing like skating, ice skating, climbing, all those things. If you want to get competitive and if your kids interested, it's like a money pit. You can spend a lot on this. So we were talking about, hey, how can I get our financial better? Like, can we get more passive income? And then I talked to her, hey, according to my calculation, if we get certain percentage on return and we have a rich appreciation asset, we can replace our income in 7 to 8 years span if I do everything correctly. And I run the numbers with her together, and she thinks it's a good idea. It's up to the execution. And we already fine on the saving part. But we are not really good at investing. But the condo do give her a little bit more confidence regarding we invest together in real estate. So she's fully on board. So occasionally I'll be talking to her, hey, I found a property like that. But she's already like your coworker. She's really annoyed by this. She was like, if you get the numbers correct, you think that's the right one, just buy it. Don't let me know. I'm not a numbers guy. I don't want to run the numbers.
Yeah, it's funny. That's awesome that you could get her on board, and I think it's going to be well worth it. But another thing I want to ask, and people always ask me this, is have you been to Allentown or Pennsylvania yet?
Nope, not yet. So I was planning to go there. So after I begin to invest there, I trying to connect more landlords. I actually do cold calling to landlords, and I was just, hey, I'm new. I'm your property neighbor. Can we like talk a little bit about real estate investing? Most folks don't want to talk to strangers, especially like established landlord, right? They don't need to buy anything or need to sell anything, so they're not really interested in helping out a new guy or just talking about this thing in general. They have been doing it for life. So I only find one guy, one gentleman. He was waiting to talk, and I was actually planning to go there. So maybe I'll be visiting there soon. But so far I never been there.
Yeah, me
Have you
too.
ever been to there?
No,
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 no.
I keep same thing. I keep
Planning to. Something comes up where I got to change my plan, but I keep meaning to, and I I keep hearing how beautiful it is and how what, because when I first heard my friend was investing in Pittsburgh,
Uh-huh.
I just thought of the steel mills and the air
Yeah.
pollution, and that was the first thing that came to my head. And I heard it's just completely not like that anymore, and it's super beautiful. And so I guess my other question I had is, how did you decide on Allentown or Pennsylvania, I should say? Like, what attracted you to that market?
Yeah, so I actually jumped from a couple markets, right? And I think in last October to early November time period, I was like on Red Fund whenever I have time, like keep looking, right? And it's really, really tired. I was looking into Oklahoma. I was checking Houston alarm. I set a bunch of alarm for Red Fund. And each morning there's like huge list of property coming in. I was going through all of them. I've been also talking. So after I find market, I feel like it's reasonable, and I'll just begin talking to realtors, talking to PMs in the markets, talking to other investors. So it was a really messy month for the whole thing. And but every time I look at something, I'm trying. So because I talked to my wife, if I get around 8% cash on cash, we'll be able to reach financial freedom eventually after 7 to 10 years mark. But in those markets, based on the current rate, when I was looking to, it's already high six. It's really, really hard to find anything like cash flow much. Mostly it's around 3 to 4%. And if you tweak the long-term rental to short-term rental, maybe you can get to 6%, but I never see anything above 6%. And then there is also a lot of variation on the short-term rental, right? You never know the regulation, and you want to find a very experienced operator that will establish in the area that knows their numbers and know how they can make the design and all the things put together to make it work. So it's more risky in the long compared to other long-term rental that we just buy and hold, right? So, and if I'm taking a lot of risk, I'm only getting 6% return, I feel it's like relatively low. And so I begin to do more research, trying to say, hey, is there anywhere I can get maybe a little bit more appreciation and also some cash flow? Because in a lot of the Midwest, appreciation is not something that you can depend on, right? And I found a YouTube video. It's actually on Bigger Pocket. That someone is investing in Bethlehem in the Lehigh Valley, and then I was looking into the area. I was like, I never heard of this area. Like, what's draw people there, and why is the landlords doing well there? So I begin to do more investing. I feel like it make more sense economic wise. They have more job because they are located geologically close to New Jersey, and Philadelphia is more like a logistic hub, and more company are beginning to invest there, and they have some medical complex there. So more diverse working force, and the area is generally reviving after the, like you mentioned, the pollution and the steel industry go away. They begin to find more ways to revitalizing their towns. So I find it's relatively good area, and it's also the third largest city in Pennsylvania. I think the first one is Philadelphia, second one is Pittsburgh, and third one is Arlington. So and then I begin to look into the market. Actually, I find the return in the market can meet my criteria. Sometimes you can get 6 to 7%, and if a good deal can get 8 or even 9% return. And appreciation in the last 2 years is also crazy because a lot of investors from New Jersey and Philadelphia is going there. Also because the town is reviving, they have a lot of revitalization project going on in the town, so it's changing a lot in the last couple of years. So I feel there's probably going to be a better place compared to Florida or Texas that will be booming more. And it's actually Pennsylvania is one of the couple areas that in Northeast that you still get positive population all the years, right? So I think it's going to be a good market. So, and I also find an operator that I can trust there. So let's go there. I was like,
Stop telling everyone the secrets. No, but though, yeah,
Exactly. Like, I mean, I kind of just walked into it, but like I said, my friend was investing in Pittsburgh. So, of course, same thing. I was hearing, Arkansas, Florida, Texas, all
yeah.
these. So of course, that's where I was looking. And then when my friend was investing in Pittsburgh, that kind of just had me kind of, I want to piggyback off of his system because he made a lot of mistakes in the beginning. So I felt comfortable. But then I started, like you're saying, I started researching, looking more at that market. And yeah, I totally agree. I feel like there's so much untapped potential there where it's still in the beginning phases of development. There's so much opportunities in that market. So that's what I like about it. And like you're saying, same thing, close to New Jersey. I think even like I'm sure Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank. She was mentioning how she loves the Pittsburgh market. Like she feels it's so affordable and there's a lot of growth heading that way. Like a lot of the money from New York and stuff are heading in that direction. Same thing, like how people are leaving, California to take their money elsewhere, and she feels like there's a lot of potential in the Pittsburgh market. So, yeah, hopefully we're on to something. But I'm glad you were able to reach out and you found my YouTube channel, you found Millennial Mike. Millennial Mike is awesome too. Yeah. So who do you so you mentioned Cody and Christian.
Mhm.
What other, I guess, maybe groups or people do you follow on social media?
Uh, Not much. So I follow McLaurie. He's the big guy, and he also talk about the large multifamily, and he also talk about economy in general. So that's what I like. And Millennium Mike, and I think Lumberjack Landlord, Cody and Christian actually invited him in one of the meeting, and he's very informative. So I also follow him on YouTube, and Dion is another
Yeah.
landlord in the West Coast area that seems doing great. And I also like his general like lazy philosophy, like making things easier using banner report to restaurant. I think that's really clever.
Yeah,
So I follow all of them, and plus you and Marion and Mag. I think that's major ones I follow.
yeah, the funny thing is that like I was talking about, I had another call with someone else, and same thing. Dion's lazy approach, and that's what caught me when he was on Bigger Pockets, the lazy investor, and that handline just caught, I think, a lot of people. But like I was telling the other person I was talking with, like he is not lazy, but his
Mhm.
systems that he put in place has made everything so efficient for him that he's basically lazy because his system's in place. And that's kind of what I like, is that he has everything just operating very smoothly, and
Mhm.
and I love it. But yeah, I love your story, man. Like I said, I see a lot of similarities, and I'm glad you reached out, and it's awesome that other people are doing this, and you took that plunge. And so what, you know, it sounds like you're gonna focus strictly on Pittsburgh or Allentown and that area.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Since I already got property there, it make more sense to leverage a local team that already trust and get more properties. It make your life easier if you concentrate in a single marketplace, right? So maybe I'll diverge a little bit more after I got enough property there because like I mentioned, maybe later will be a phase like 5 or 7 years later, I want to get a little bit more appreciation and more diverse strategy. So maybe we'll go to Florida or somewhere else. But for now, I think I'm just focusing on the area to lay a good foundation to scale up. What's your general plan?
Yeah, that's kind of I mean, I same thing. I like the team I have in place. And that's why I'm also helping other people try to get started. And I just kind of give them different scenarios. I say, I know people that I've helped. They've used turnkey companies in other markets.
Mhm.
I got my real estate license in Hawaii, so if they do want to do something in Hawaii, it's challenging, but it can be done. But definitely, you'd have to house hack or find something where you can rent rooms out. So that's also an option, but it's definitely hard to
Mhm.
get in, get your foot in the door with the cost of entry.
Yeah.
And if Pittsburgh sounds interesting to them, I tell them, you're welcome to jump on what we're doing, and use the connections that I have. So some people have gone the turnkey route; they felt more comfortable doing that, and there's others
Mhm.
that did invest in Pittsburgh. So that's kind of my vision, like you're saying. Is I want to leverage the team that I have in place, and if we become this bigger fish, then they may bring us more opportunities, more deals.
Exactly.
When I so like I'm super glad, like when I make a phone call or I message my agent or the property manager, they're like very responsive. It can be like any time in the day.
Mm.
There's a huge time difference, Hawaii and the East Coast, but I can message them at any time,
Yeah.
email them, and I get a very timely response. And I can see how if I only
Mm.
had one property and I messaged them, that they'd be like, oh yeah, I'll get to him at some point. But I feel like,
Mm.
we probably have close to maybe 40 properties, the group of us that have that are investing there. So I feel like, they take it serious when we message them. Like they're gonna
Mm.
respond to us quickly and in a timely manner. So that's part of my vision is I want to grow something there, and I'm building a lot more relationships there. But at the same time, my son's mom is from North Carolina, and my son loves North Carolina, and I love North Carolina, South Carolina. I love over there. So part of me also wants to maybe establish something in those markets.
Mm,
So that's kind of where I'm at right now. But definitely, yeah, I love the Pittsburgh market. I'm going to try to do more there, but I also maybe want to start branching off and establishing some roots in the Carolina market and start developing something there. But yeah, I mean, I think I have the same vision as you. Like you have something in place, and you want to leverage that. And now that you reached out to me, now that maybe we can leverage both of our teams together and get even more deals or
mm,
working together or leveraging both of our connections. And yeah, that's what this whole thing is about. It's a relationship business. And um yes, I mean,
exactly.
yeah. So yeah, so what I mean, I don't know, this has been an awesome conversation. I'm glad you reached out. I mean, it's funny because you messaged me on Facebook, and you don't have your profile picture, right? You have like
Oh
an
yeah.
animation. So a lot of times I'm kind of like, they're kind of weary. Like, is this a
Is
real
it a real
person?
person?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that at first, but so you try to message back kind of, in general politely and see. But yeah, I'm glad but at first I was like, oh man, who is this, like a bot, or am I getting scammed here or something? But
Oh, that's a good call. I should update that. I've been using the same profile image since like I was in mid school. That's actually from a game
oh,
that I was playing when I was a kid. So that's why I keep using it. But probably now I want to be taken more serious. I should be changing this a real photo.
so what are you? Are you a PlayStation or Xbox person?
Um, I don't mind either, but I'm currently have an Xbox mainly because when I bought the Xbox a couple of years back when they bundle with Kinect, the motion sensor together, and because I want to drag my wife into gaming world, and she loves those like motion sensing game like bowling or climbing. So that's where we get started. And now we don't mind either. Is there something that we can play together? A lot of games we play is like Overcooked or Resident Evil or those things like people can play together, right? Side by side on the couch. So it's cross-platform. So we don't mind either. I don't have a lot of time like playing games myself now. So if I enjoy some time, I would definitely want to grab my wife, and she also loves doing that. So either one is fine. Do you have a preference?
No, the funny thing is, like, I mean, I used to only play like like the sports games like Madden and,
Ah,
and NBA Jam or 2K or whatever it's
2K,
called back then.
yeah.
But so I used to play all of those games. I'm a big sports guy, so I was always playing that, and I just kind of got away from it for a while. And then now my
Mm.
son, he's going to be 8, but he's really into like Sonic the Hedgehog and
Oh, nice.
what's the other games he plays? Sonic the Hedgehog. Um, man, I can't even think of it. But oh, Pokemon.
Oh
But
yeah,
so he plays the Nintendo Switch. So
mm,
now I'm trying to play with him and like those fighting games, and so he's getting into that. So now I'm slowly starting to play video games a little bit more, and I like playing with him. I
nice.
probably wouldn't play by myself, just like you said, you're so busy, you don't have too much time. But when he wants to play,
Exactly.
I'll play with him. So it's been fun, but I feel that I'm gonna probably I think I'm gonna probably start getting more back into it just because he really enjoys it. So it's yeah, I'm always trying to figure out. I mean, I have a place. I don't even know which one I have. I don't even know what version they're on now, but I only used to use it though because I used to stream the NFL game days on it, and then you could get an app.
Ah,
So that's why I bought it at first, because I was using it to stream the NFL direct TV, or the NFL Sunday ticket, the live games on my TV. So that's actually why I have the system. So I don't even know if I have a game for it, but
Whoa,
but yeah.
man, that's awesome. I can't wait for my daughter to get to 8. Now they can barely hold the controller, and they don't have the coordination to actually play the game, make sense of the play, press a button to show something on the screen. So once they get there, I'm definitely going to introduce them to the game. I think Switch is a great starter for them. They
Yes,
got
yes,
all this Nintendo game, Mario game, like you mentioned, Sonic. That's awesome for kids
yes.
to get involved. I definitely want them to experience this kind of life. And one thing that I hope I can do financially free is also play more games. I have a huge backlog of games I want to play.
Well, on that topic, so was there something that kind of just flipped the switch in your head? Like for me, I was just coasting along. I
Mhm.
have a great pension in place,
Mm.
health benefits, retirement plan, and I was just cruising along. And definitely, the lockdowns really just opened my eyes to how risky I was being. Where,
Mm.
fortunately, I was a first responder, so I was able to work, but I saw a lot of people losing their jobs, getting laid off. And I just was like, you know what? I am being super risky relying on my pension and my one stream of income, basically, and how risky that I was being with my financial future. And that
Mhm.
just flipped the switch and put me down this path to financial
Mm.
freedom and, generating passive income. Was there something like that for you?
So I think for me it's more like a gradual change. So I always want to be like eventually be able to support myself and my family in a way or the other. So that's why I was looking into like can I do a business online to sell things. But I think when I made the transition last year, it's more like I have a second daughter now, and if I want to have more time with I'm a Chinese. My whole family is back in China. If I want to bring my kids to China more often, then I can't be like have this very demanding job. So my kids can also visit their grandparents more often. And the only way to do that is that I have to find a job that doesn't require me to work like in a fixed position. But a lot of those online like working fully remote jobs in COVID, you get a lot of those opportunity. Google, Facebook, they all provide like fully remote options, but now it's like begin to phase away, and there are only like smaller companies that doing contractor that can that support that, but it will be cutting my pay a lot if I switch to this contractor type of thing. So that's where I think, hey, if I want to do that, I have to generate enough passive income to support my family, and I can live wherever I want and bring them more often back to China. Maybe I can bring them like in the summertime back to Beijing for 2 or 3 months. They can stay with their grandparents. They can um, take them together to visit other family members and doing things together. I definitely need that kind of flexibility, and especially after I get the second daughter, it make me think more that what I really want to do. And I think another thing that changed me a lot is I begin to think how can I live my life more seriously, right? So in the day job, if we want to we have this thing called like 3-year plan, right? What's our vision for our product in 3 years? And we have a vision, we're working backwards, what we need to do together, right? And each year we break down the milestone, what do we need to do by the end of this year and next year, and then by the end of year 3, we reach our goal. And we will have the 5-year plan as well. I take like very huge part into those planning, but I never think about myself, hey, if I want to retire, let's say in 10 years, when I'm currently 30, 34, and I want to be retired at 45, what should I do, right? If I lay down the plan financially, hey, by 45, I need to certain amount of income, then I need to lay down the milestone. And after I lay down the milestone, I feel it's not so unachievable because I only need to get 8% cash on cash return. And occasionally I do a 31 exchange, I can gather, right? So getting financial freedom is not like crazily far away from me. I just need to reverse engineer this and do our due diligence and set up plan and follow it. And but it's something achievable. That's also changed me to think, okay, if I commit to this and I have a milestone, I can just do it. And thinking that you can do it changed my mindset as well. So it eliminates a lot of the analysis paralysis and also the lack of action because you lay down to the time that you have a yearly goal. So it makes the execution much easier.
Yeah.
So what what would you say was the biggest obstacle for you to get your first property or get that first transaction that was out of state, not the condo that you have, but that first property out of state?
I think two parts. One is finding a great team that you feel you can trust because I don't know if you have a similar experience. It first I trying to go with a turnkey company. Like you mentioned, you have turnkey operators there. I trying to go with a turnkey company because it seems to be providing you the like experience that you don't need to worry about anything, right? And then after I actually log on a property there, that's in Birmingham, Alabama. But the issue is that property I actually halfway through the transaction and the appreciation comes much lower than the sales price, and the seller only willing to come down a little bit. So I need to pay a lot of things out of the pocket. And I mean, buying real estate, it's really close to my number, and it's like passively close to 7% return. I've been waiting for the deal for quite a while, but the issue is you are losing some equity doing that. And just because you don't have the team that you can trust in the area. And then I was like, well, I'll just keep talking to other folks, see if I can find someone that I can trust, I feel comfortable investing. So I think that's a really big obstacles from people, like prevent people from actually putting the money down in a property that you've never seen before, right? In the area you never visited before. And the other obstacle I think is just the current market, right? I guess it's more like a general thing, like hard to find deals, right? If you are on market, you're competing with other buyers. If it's off market, you are competing with other wholesalers. So it's really hard to grab a really good deal. I think it's this every time, right? When the interest rate is low, you get too many buyers. And the interest is high, there are not too many deals working for you. So you got to choose between the two evil. I prefer now that at least I can choose. I have less competition and I do have time to go through deals. So I was actually planning to deploy a lot of capital like really fast. But so far I only got the fourplex and keep waiting for my next deal. I feel because I have the milestone and I have my numbers, I really want to each property get closer to my milestones. So I'm really aiming for the 8% return that I'm getting. So I guess not buying bad deals is good enough for me. If it's close to that criteria, I can lower it a little bit. I actually just come across a duplex last week. I'm putting an offer on. It's roughly 7%, but the condition and location is really good. But I don't want to deviate too much from that. So I'll be rather waiting a little bit longer to get my next deal, maybe 3 to 4 months. But I'm willing to wait. That's my current two obstacles. I can foresee I'm going to run into another issue that I don't have enough capital to deploy after I turn 31 my condo, I sell my stocks. I probably need to find another way to scale up. I don't know if you run into similar issues as well.
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, so that was gonna lead kind of to my
Next couple questions was one, as far as, are all your purchases traditional financing, or has any been the asset base or the DSCR type of loans?
Yeah, so far it's only been conventional loan because I was talking to a couple lender. DSCR, the rate is in the 7 to 9 range, and the hard money is in the 11 to 14% recently. And conventional, I can still get 6.5 to 7. So conventional seems to be the best case. but I also don't want to miss out deals just because like I have to use conventional. There are some mixed units in the area. There are some fourplex, sixplex there. That had to require DSCR. So I'm also looking into that. But so far I only find one lender seem to be reasonable price in Pennsylvania. I can forward you to that. I think they're called IOCO. I forgot the name. I can forward you to that later. But they are saying they are doing still in the 6.5 to 7.5 range, depending on your credit score and also the DSCR. So it's still relatively low in the same range, close to conventional. So that seems to be a really good idea. I think you'll probably get 10 loans already, right? So I only get 3. So still a little bit more room. I'm trying to keep conventional if possible, just because it's easier. But if I came across a deal that require DSCR loan, I have to go with that. And another thing is I have to put 25% down each time, and that's really hurt how much you can scale, right? That's why I'm trying to explore also a little bit more on seller financing side of things to deal more creatively. And that's why I joined Cody and Christian together and see if I can learn something regarding seller financing from them. I hope I can do a deal like that in future, put less down so I can scale faster. But so far, all my property has been purchased conventionally.
Yeah, the first few for me were conventional in my name. Well,
The first one was all cash, and then I was gonna do a refinance for it. But ever since everything is in DSCR now, I mean, for me, the issue I ran into was after the first few, I was like, oh man, my debt to income is already high, considering my primary in Hawaii. I was like, how do people do this? And that just took me down the rabbit hole of looking at other options, and that led me down to the DSCR types. And so ever since then, I just used that. For me, it was a lot quicker, a lot less paperwork. And once you build a relationship, then you don't have to do that 25% down. I mean, it was 20% down, but there is other lenders that you can do less, but it just made it a lot smoother and easier. And I'm not sure if you've found this out or if you've heard me talk about it, but the one thing with Pennsylvania though is they have a very high transfer title
Terrible
fee.
transfer tax.
Yeah, so I learned that the hard way. But that's something I always try to tell people is that's the one thing about Pennsylvania, the taxes are a little bit higher in some areas than I would like. But other than that, yeah, I think it's a great market. But yeah, that's awesome. I mean, my probably my last question I think is so after you've got your initial properties and not considering the whole finding capital and that type of, what do you think has been the biggest challenge or something that you've learned now that you're a landlord out of state? Like for me, I think I scaled too quickly, and I tell everybody that I scaled too quickly. I didn't prepare well with reserves, and that's probably what has slowed me down actually. And so I try to recommend to anyone I'm helping that, hey, make sure you plan well with reserves. And like I tell people, I think I got tricked. Like the first 4 properties were like, smooth, tenant in place right away. It was easy. And I was like, oh, all right, this is easy. And I try scaled, and then, I had issues, trying to find tenants. And of course, it was during the winter time, so it's expected, but
yeah.
I guess I didn't know how challenging it would be, when I'm in Hawaii. So I'm just thinking like, oh, the weather's fine over here. Like, what's wrong with finding a tenant now? But that was challenging, and there was a little more expenses than I would expect, or that I expected in the beginning. But for me, that was my experience and my advice to people. So did you encounter anything after your first few properties?
Yeah, because I just had my first outside property last month, so no major issues so far, but I can foresee I'm probably going to run into something very similar, right? Before that, we are self-managing our condo like close to us ourselves, and the tenant is like we develop a personal relationship after that, so it's very easy management, and there is no turnover or transition, right? It's quite easy, a smooth ride for us. But talking to someone out of state is a little bit harder. Like I mentioned, there's time zone difference, and you're trying to, rather than doing property management, you are trying to do asset management through your property manager. And so you put a lot of trust, and that not a lot of things you can verify personally. So what I want to do is a trust and verify approach, but you have to emphasize a little bit more on the trust side than the verification side. And also I don't have a contractor there can verify the code. And also I can't like trying to like go there myself and verify the property like on iSight. So I feel that's going to be a hard part for me to make sure that I can still verify what my property manager promised and also keep the property going and reach its highs and best to make sure that it's not dragging me down later. And I totally heard your consideration of reserve. I think that's a really good call out. After I watch your video, I actually verify that my 401k, I can probably borrow about 50k out of my 401k. And I currently have a HELOC on my property. I'm not planning to use because it's an adjustable rate, but I do have a quite equity here that I can pull in emergency fund. So what my planning is, after listening to your concern about reserve, to make sure I have reserve for about 4 to 5 or 6 months for the property I have, and also budgeting something for like emergency stuff. So the fourplex I'm currently have, I plan to now to like do annual withdrawal from the rent from the cash flow in for the first 3 months. And then after that, I'll just keep a small portion, like I calculated 8%, and then every month draw it out. Other than that, all the reserve will be stay in place. On top of that, I have my 401k and HELOC, and to make sure I still got enough things on the reserve side. I think that's a really good call. I feel managed through property manager, you have to have a backup plan. I'm also on the back end networking with other landlords. So if there's another PM that they refer to, and maybe I'm going to try that in future. So I can balancing out my risk a little bit. Even these property managers seem to be doing really good and recommended by a lot of folks. It's never hurt by getting a backup.
Oh yeah. And what if they move, or what if they retire,
Exactly.
right? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, like you said, it's all about relationships. So yeah, I mean, awesome. This has been an awesome conversation. I'm glad you reached out. But I don't want to take up too much of your time. So, we're gonna stay in connection, I hope, and continue to talk and network. But I'm gonna, stop this for now, and then we can chat off camera after this.
Yeah, sure thing.
All right.